This episode of More Stories with the great Greg Proops is brought to you by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audiobooks with more than 150,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature. For a free audiobook of your choice and a 30-day trial, go to audiblepodcast.com/J. I just read Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian, and I got my free download from audiblepodcast.com/J. You do it too. Every dollar counts when you're running a small business. You can't just throw money away, but that's exactly what you're doing. If you're leasing one of those expensive postage meters, don't do it. Long-term commitments, maintenance, and reset fees. Expensive ink. It's crazy. I know a better way for you to do your mailing and shipping. Use Stamps.com. With Stamps.com, get all the benefits of a postage meter and more at a fraction of the cost. Just use your own computer and printer to get official U.S. postage for any envelope, any package, any class of mail. Plus, no more time-consuming trips to the post office. Everything you would do at the post office, do from your desk with Stamps.com. I use Stamps.com for more stories, and I want you to use it too. Right now, use my last name, M-O-H-R, more for this special offer. It's a no-risk trial, plus a $110 bonus offer. That includes a digital scale and up to $55 free postage. Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com right now before you do anything else. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in MORE, M-O-H-R. That's Stamps.com. Enter MORE.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man!
Oh, my friends, we're well into the 200s on More Stories. Don't forget to click that Amazon ad. Greg Proops in the house. Get close to the mic, sweetheart.
Hello, everybody.
You can pull your chair closer.
I will. I'm gonna lunge for a while, though. I'm gonna Ziggy Stardust this for the first few minutes.
I like that. That's a hipper reference. I was going to do the guy at the end of Price is Right that leans all the way forward to go $1.
Yeah. When he knows he's got it nailed.
Yeah.
Lower.
If you want to, I get a lot of tweets from people saying like, "Hey, should I use this guy's Amazon banner or your Amazon banner?" And I just don't answer because I'm not going to tell people where to go because we're all podcast brethren. Greg Proops, of course, smartest man in the world podcast, which I listen to extensively on my Hawaiian vacation.
That's very gratifying, Jay.
Laying in the sun, listening to you in Oslo.
Oh, my God. It is Oslo. I keep saying Oslo, but it's Oslo, I believe.
And I said to my wife, listening to the Smartest Man in the World podcast, laying on the beach in Honolulu is life's most sublime pleasure. To which she replied, listening to it in a dank fucking cave with scurvy would be one of life's.
I got to remember that.
Yeah.
I'm using that on my next show.
Please do.
Yeah. Jay said laying in the sun in Hawaii is a sublime pleasure. In a dank cave with scurvy. Yeah.
That's still
the rats
sublime.
gnawing at you.
It's so much fun, your podcast.
Well, thank you.
And I'm amazed. I said it off mic, but I'll say it on mic. You impressed the heck out of me because I don't know many comics that can go to like Edinburgh, Oslo, and then like just take it home to West Hollywood across from the Pleasure Chest. And like no matter where you are, you draw this crowd of people that are complete diehard, Smartest Man in the World podcast fans. And anybody listening, there's an app. There's a Smartest Man in the World podcast app. And I'm telling you, it is so much fun. The rants you go on, you ramble. It's like a river with many bends. You always circle back around. I love it. And okay, this is the biggest compliment I could give for my personal ego to you to share.
On. I'm ready to accept a compliment.
This is not bullshit. I'm actually smarter after I listen to your podcast because I'm being serious because of your references and your knowledge of history and stuff. But it's all completely funny and goofy all the time.
Yeah.
But then you get super heavy and you'll read like poetry on stage and you broke down like the Fourth Amendment and people's rights and stuff to attract your right wing faithful. So, if you're out there listening, and then we're going to get to Mr. Proops in about 5 seconds, which Amazon banner you should use, It's your life. Use whichever one you want. But I will say this, and Proops, you'll like this. I worked out a deal, and this is for the listeners, a little special announcement. If you use all the money from my Amazon kickback that I get, you go to jmohr.com, click the Amazon banner, buy whatever you want, email me what you bought, and then I will read your purchase on the air with a lovely guest. It all goes to my son's college fund.
Oh, fantastic.
So some of the guys might want to buy a motorcycle or a Vespa. I'm actually putting it to a kid's education so that helps sway your decision as to whose banner to use. Know that you might be putting a kid through college.
That's a very noble endeavor.
But also it's also selfish. I get to keep money for myself to go to Hawaii.
That's why we're advertising on the shows, because we don't make any money doing these things.
No, we don't.
No.
We need you to buy things for yourself. Check this guy out. Kevin Blanchard. Yeah, you, buddy. Kevin Blanchard. Hey, Jay Moors. There's always a little Tracy Morgan in there. They always love it. Hey, Jay Moors. Love the podcast. You make my Mondays better. Unfortunately, I've been spending months forgetting about your Amazon banner at jmohr.com, even as I buy all kinds of shit with my Amazon Prime membership. Sorry about that. But today, I finally remembered and made some purchases. I got a set of Panasonic headphones for my niece's 10th birthday, so she doesn't drive my sister nuts playing Minecraft all damn day. Language. Yeah. I also got some replacement razor heads for my body shaver to keep my junk trimmed so my girlfriend will keep going down on me.
That's a lot of information.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to mix 10-year-old niece and girl.
I'd separate that with a paragraph. Something
on a side note, I also purchased by the way, if you're so inclined to read this as well, Panasonic headphones, replacement razor heads for my body shaver to keep my junk trimmed so my girlfriend would keep going down on me. Felt good to finally contribute, I bet. Felt good to finally contribute a little something to my favorite podcast. Keep the laughs coming, bro. Put your name on it.
Sounds like everybody was giving.
Everybody. Does it really matter? Do you have to be, you're a happily married man like myself. Do you have to have a certain, do you have to edge along the driveway in order to get carnal pleasure from your bride?
I do out of simple courtesy, but it's not a big event in my life or anything. I don't light a candle and lay in the tub or anything. Smother myself with emollients and read from a book out loud.
Myrrh. A lot of myrrh.
Yeah, a lot of myrrh in the air and whatnot. Intoxicating.
Yeah.
I don't.
Do I smell myrrh? Oh, Greg, you've done it again.
Yeah. It's.
I didn't. Yeah.
I don't know about the shaving thing. I'm a little old to do that. I think. You get to that Ron Jeremy level of age, and there's too much pooching.
Once I shaved completely.
Really?
And it looked almost exactly like a rubber chicken.
Yeah, right.
And it was horrible. It only looks good on like porno guys with 18 packs.
Yeah.
Who are built just for that.
Right.
But for Kevin Blanchard, maybe if you have to trim in order for your girlfriend to do that, maybe I'm not going to say anything. But
no. You got to do what you have to do.
Oh, you know what? That's why you got to listen to Smartest Man in the World podcast. Do what you have to do. If that's what it's going to take.
You got to trim a little bit, though, right?
I do.
You don't just let it go.
I use the same scissors to trim my pubes as I do to cut chicken and cut dog shit out of the back of my dog's
such a coincidence
ass hair. And I just wash the scissors and I put them back in the rack because I'm a savage beast. So that's you, Kevin Blanchard. You're More Stories famous, and thank you, brother. And anybody out there, if you're wondering which one should I use, I don't know. Maybe you want to put a kid through college. That would be good. You know what we should tell this guy? Forget the razor trimmer. If you really want the best shave of your life, let me tell you this, Greg Proops.
Yes.
I will never endorse something I don't personally use. I've turned down several. DollarShaveClub.com.
Really?
You heard of it?
No.
Really?
No.
Brother, how many times do you shave every day?
I do, yes.
Are you hirsute?
I'm not. I'm pale.
Isn't it weird hirsute isn't spelt hair suit?
No, why isn't it? I've never understood that. I don't know the derivation of hirsute.
But it should be like I'm a hirsute man.
Right, not a hirsute man.
The fuck is hirsute?
I shave most of the time on this, on the week. I didn't shave today, obviously. I just realized that.
So you're.
But I know we weren't going to be on video tonight.
No, there's no video here.
I don't like looking all scruffy on video.
No, and nor should you.
No,
especially when you're auditioning for Rock and Roll Jeopardy, and which we'll get to that. DollarShaveClub.com, my friends. These are the best razors, seriously, that I've ever used. I got out of the shower this morning. I was rushed to go to work, and I didn't even use lather. No shaving cream, nothing, just with a hot face and wet. I just still did it, and they're great. For a couple bucks a month, DollarShaveClub.com delivers amazing quality razors. They deliver them to your door. You don't have to go to the drugstore for a pack of blades, and you got to get that guy at the place. Could you unlock the razors? They're all in jail.
Right.
Like the homeless are just coming in like, well, I want to trim in case my girlfriend blows me.
Yeah, I need loads of razors.
I need razors. Forget food. I got to shave.
I can sell these on the street.
I always get stuck behind that deathly sick person, the guy who should be quarantined, but instead he's hacking up a third lung right in front of me in line for the razors. Call me insensitive, but I don't know. I want a pack of blades, not the bird flu or Ebola or MRSA. I don't want MRSA. No. I just want razors. And the best ones I have ever used, my friends, I'm putting my name on it, Dollar Shave Club. DollarShaveClub.com. They mail them right to my house. They'll mail them right to your house. You avoid the drugstore and all the sick, gross people in there. Join DollarShaveClub.com. It might save your life. You know what I mean? Right. You don't want to get some life-threatening disease.
Typhoid.
You don't want to get typhoid. No. Legionnaire's disease.
Legionnaires.
Lupus is a big killer.
I don't want lupus either.
Lupus, and you don't want lopus.
And lopus is horrible.
Dollars
and Davy Lopes, which is hard to get. You end up stealing a lot.
Yeah, if you do it, that is interesting.
But you're not good at managing.
No, you're not.
No.
But you do steal.
Oh, no, you steal all the time.
Yeah, you don't want to catch...
Seconds open, you're going.
You don't want to catch Davy Lopes.
No, you get the green light. But
you will.
Yeah.
It's a weird affliction.
Yeah, it's a singular.
Don't go to the drugstore and catch Davy Lopes. Go to DollarShaveClub.com. DollarShaveClub.com. I assure you guys, this is not some BS thing. They are the actual greatest razors I've ever used in my life. Now, Greg, you were in Norway, and everybody was very tall. You seemed fascinated at how tall, and you received a lot of gifts in your travels throughout Europe.
I got an entire bottle of vodka rolled onto the stage at Amsterdam, and I had no idea what it was at that point, and my paranoia took over, and I was like, this isn't going to be some explosive device. And then I remembered it's my crowd, and no, it was just booze. And an enormous gingerbread that was so big I couldn't bring it home with me. Like someone made me
like a cookie?
Yeah, that said, smartest man in the world on it, but it weighed 450 pounds, and it was this big, you know what I mean? Like I won the Preakness or something, like it was big. And I took a picture with them with it. But I'm like, I get it, back to the hotel. I'm like, my wife's like, what are you going to do with it? I'm like, I'm leaving it. If I bring it, they'll charge me for overweight, it was the size of a fucking funeral wreath.
You leave it in the hotel room with a note? Housekeeping, thank you.
Yeah, from the smartest gingerbread collector in that. No, I get a lot of nice gifts. I got these little squirrels the squirrel made in Vancouver.
Well, hold on. What? Squirrels?
Yeah, they were little squirrel brooches, and I put one in my bag for good luck. And then a girl gave us, we were doing Whose Line a couple of weeks ago up in Ontario, and a girl gave us, I'm not kidding, and I don't know how she fucking made these, decks of cards, I guess, because she knows we play poker on the bus or whatever, and the face cards were us.
So you, Drew, Ryan.
That was me, Ryan, Jeff Davis, and Chip Eston.
Drew just tapped out?
Well, Drew's not in our little I do a four-hander with these guys.
You broke off. You formed Wings.
Yeah, we did. We're Wings too, man. I'm going to give you the double thumbs up in a minute because that's what Wings did, and it was always horrible. If you ever watch the Hell on Wheels video on YouTube, Paul McCartney goes like this, and him and Linda both go like that in it.
Big thumbs. So four thumbs up.
The double thumbs up, yeah. Which is like, you don't have to do that because if you want me to keep watching,
I don't know why
I'm gonna bunk a little.
People give Wings shit. I like a lot of Wings.
I had a Band on the Run. Was that not Wings?
Silly Love Songs.
Oh wow, that one, and Someone's Knocking on the Door. That one gets a little.
I mean, I'd rather listen to that than fucking Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
Yeah, Maxwell's Silver. I heard a great interview with John Lennon on one of those Morning with the Beatles shows that they have, on Sunday morning, they'll have like a 5-hour Beatles thing. And they were playing a tape of John, and they were talking about making Abbey Road. And he goes, I don't know why Paul thought Maxwell's Silver Hammer was going to be a big hit, and we worked on it for fucking ages. And he goes on and on. He goes, and it has all these special effects in it with the noises and the fucking hammer and whatnot. And he goes, and it just died, we tried. But I love that was John's take on it, that song was like, really? We're going to do this one again today?
Wow.
Yeah.
And Abbey Road's my favorite.
It's a beautiful album.
Beatle album of all time.
Yeah.
It's weird they made that album after people don't realize they weren't the Beatles anymore. They just kind of cobbled up things together. Yeah. And like halves of song like Polythene Pam and...
Yeah, there's one whole side of the album that's like halves of songs.
Yeah.
And they played together. It's unlike Let It Be or White Album where they kind of played separately. They came together and played together for that last album.
Which Beatle would you have been?
I'd like to say I'd be George, the sexy one.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say you're George. I had you pegged for a George.
Yeah, because he's the one the chicks still dig, man. When they put out that Apple ad last year and it had the Beatles in it, it's like George in front with the fucking jeans and a jean shirt on, and you're like, yeah, I get why they use that one. Because girls now put him on their fashion blogs.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, because he's the male model of the group, especially later when the facial hair.
Yeah.
And he's the thin one, and then he always wore if you remember Bangladesh and shit, he always had like a cream colored suit or a white suit.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, he was really hot,
It's almost like with the Beatles, George is the guy, like Paul, it seems, was like they're not in a detrimental way whatsoever, but he was like the Colonel Parker, the Gene Simmons,
right, keep it going.
There's a way to do this.
Yeah.
We're going to go on a magical mystery tour, and we're going to be Sergeant Pepper.
I got ideas.
Yeah, and John was the guy that would just trip on acid, smoke heroin, and but when it was his time to go, it was like just letting a greyhound out of the chute.
Yeah.
He just ran like hell and he nailed it.
Yeah.
But George was the guy that just seemed to be the rock star. All right.
He's the more like a rock star than them. Yeah, I think.
He didn't have a good time at Elvis's house.
No, that's my favorite story. Just asking everybody for weed and shit.
Yeah, but they were all railed out on pills. They were all on uppers.
Yeah, and Elvis was watching TV playing the bass or whatever.
He's up in his bedroom watching the Beatles on closed circuit TV. Like that's how he took guests.
Yeah.
Because he was so whacked out.
Yeah.
And George, I think he was on one of the shows. I didn't have a good time. I just kept asking for reef.
Yeah. And they didn't have any because they were from fucking Tennessee.
Hey, man, Memphis Mafia, man. You want a gun? You need anything?
Yeah.
Let's just go out to the pool and look for some more reef. He went out to the pool, maybe the reef, like an Easter egg hunt. Right. Maybe there's reefer out there.
I know. I love that part. I love that they didn't actually, And of course, I'm sure they worshipped him. And then they got up there and they're like,
It seems that way, too. It seems like everybody that met all the idols in that time, like whether it be Sinatra or Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Like when the Beatles met Ali, both sides were not into it. They got that one classic photo.
Right, of him punching them and they're all
but they were both can I just go back to skipping rope?
Yeah.
He didn't really care about them either.
No, and this is a photo op more than anything else.
I mentioned Rock and Roll Jeopardy, and I love this story so much because you have made more success thumbing your nose at the establishment than most people.
I'm glad you think it's success. That one I would have liked to have done only because.
Right, hold on a second. You're in fucking Oslo doing a podcast, and it's a full house. I can't. I'm sweating out, swelling out, selling out the Brea Improv. That's down the road. It's 40 miles from here. I'm like, how's Thursday? How's Thursday looking? What about Sunday? I know Saturday will be full. You're in Oslo. You're in Edinburgh. You went to New Zealand. It's a full place.
Yeah,
that's
was a good
cool
one.
as hell. How do these people? Do they all know you from Whose Line?
Yeah, New Zealand especially. Whose Line I think played there for 15 or 20 years, and they have no TV. There's 2 fucking channels.
I was going to say, they must have 1 TV to see your show.
And a bunch of Australian channels, and they make no shows of their own. There's 2 New Zealand shows. And they have the best channel ever, which is the Maori channel. Because the Maoris have a state channel that's funded, so they can be on TV all the time. And there's a show on it that's simply them kind of half in the bag doing karaoke. And it's called Paki Up, which doesn't mean the same thing in Maori. It's let's go or, have a good time or whatever. But it's spelled P-A-K-I, which in England you would never have anything spelled Paki because it just means you're being horrible about Pakistanians.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And Boston.
Yeah, and right, Pakis.
The Paki girl.
A Paki. But their show's called Paki Up, and my wife and I watched that every day when we were in New Zealand. It was on in the afternoon. Maoris would come on kind of half in the bag that had a couple, and they'd have cowboy hat on and shit, and they'd be like, sometimes it's hard to be a woman, and you'd be like, this is the greatest TV show.
And the listener should know, full tattooed faces.
They sang a lot of country. Yeah, they had tattooed faces. Sometimes pop. Sometimes it'd be the gay one, but the Maoris are, and it's amazing in New Zealand how present they are. Unlike any other Aboriginal people in any country you go to, we don't have an American Indian channel. And, more's the fucking pity. But in New Zealand, they're part of the parliament. They're always in the paper. They got back a lot of their land by suing the New Zealand government over the last 150 years. So they've kind of made us. I said to someone when I was there, I've never really been to a country where the people who live there before the white people are as much in the mix, I mean, I'm not saying it's fair for them or it's great or whatever. It's just their way there. When you go there, there's their politicians on TV with fucking tattoos all over their faces and piercings through their nose and shit in Parliament talking about stuff. And
Can you imagine
extraordinary.
Orrin Hatch just shows up with Mike Tyson's face tattoo. Fucking plate in his
And his
lip.
delivery, I hope.
I like to yield my time to the fine senator with a bone in his nose from Tennessee, the volunteer state. And it's just some guy with a tattooed face. But you said they sued.
Yeah, they've been suing for their the seabed rights and their land rights and shit. They've been using the law for the last million years to kind of get back.
Unlike the Australian and Native Americans,
who've been marginalized,
went to war and lost.
Right.
That's what
they always
separates
say
them.
it's the Indians, and I think I said it on my podcast once. In America, it's the Declaration of Independence that fucked the Indians more than anything, because before that, as you know, they fought for everybody. They fought on the French side and the British side in the French and Indian War. And everybody used them for 250 years as guides and married them and every other goddamn thing. And they used to petition European governments. They were seen as an entity. The Iroquois could go to the French government and say, we'll work for your army. And then after the declaration, Europe went, they're yours.
And then Andrew Jackson said, get them out.
Yep. And then so they would still go to Europe and try to petition governments to get, help them. And the European governments were like, you're part of America. America declared its independence as a separate sovereign nation. You have to deal with the American government.
And they just kept getting pushed.
That was it. And I think that's really like the big moment in Indian history where up until then they'd been able to make money off of different European countries by trying to keep themselves in the game and, and like you say, by the time of Jackson, they're being pushed across the country and they're being forced to live in reservations. And I mean, not that there wasn't genocide from the start, but hey, this is America.
Hey, if we're not doing genocide.
It's a great comedy show. I really like to take it to a dark place as soon as I possibly
can. No, people dig it. Me and Brian Callen sat here and talked presidential history for an hour straight.
Did you really?
Yeah, that's all we did. Talked about our favorite presidents.
Who are your favorite presidents? Oh, you've already done
Truman.
that one. Oh, Truman.
I love Truman because he had greatness thrust upon him.
Yeah, he did.
Like, welcome aboard. By the way, we need to have a meeting. There's this nuclear bomb we're about to drop. You should know about it since now you're in charge of pushing the button.
Yeah.
Created Israel.
Yeah.
According to my Bible, this is where it is. I mean,
integrated the armed forces. Signed the desegregation bill.
Broke up the steel strike during the Korean War.
Fucked with MacArthur.
Yeah,
big time. MacArthur. Big time.
How about this? Wouldn't let the White House. They wanted to redo the White House. Do you know this story?
No.
They wanted to redo the White House during the Korean War. It was falling apart. It was complete shambles. And like a crazy old man from Independence, Missouri, or wherever. So I'm going to get a tweet. He's actually from fucking.
He's from Independence.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll see.
Yeah, right.
Here they come.
He wasn't actually from Independence.
He was from Florissant, and then he moved to Independence when he was 1. So, but he kept saying, "I'd really appreciate it if you would start in the back in the basement. That's important to me. That's where I spend my and he'd never spend a day there in his life. And they just kept going. Well, we got to get started, and he just kept going like a crazy old man. And then it wasn't until like he was way at like 5 years out of office where he goes, "You can't have scaffolding on the White House when you're at war on television."
No.
And I was like, "Holy
shit!"
That's
a genius thing to say.
But he wouldn't let anyone in.
Right.
He wouldn't let anyone know what he was thinking. No. He just kept going. If you guys could start in the backyard and go underneath from the back,
keep over there.
Yeah, I really need that basement in the back.
Yeah, I love it down there. Wow. Supposedly he wrote Nuke Stalin on his desk pad too, right?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Nuke Stalin was, like the to-do.
Stalin really fucked it up for everybody.
Yeah.
We really thought we were just going to split it like kids in a schoolyard.
That's Roosevelt's big failing, though, isn't it, at the end of his term? He's a little too weak to meet with him the last time, really. They got pushed around at Yalta, I think.
He was in a wheelchair dying. It wasn't he wasn't being belligerent like, fuck, let him come to me.
And he's up against the hardest-ass motherfucker that ever lived,
But don't you think we all thought, even though we weren't alive, but don't you think America and all the countries, France and England, thought like, when this is all over, we'll just spread it out in a school? And then Stalin goes, "Hey, thanks for saving us after 100 million Russians died.
Yeah.
We're going to go our own way now."
Yeah.
That was like the ultimate mafia move of all time. Fuck you, pay me.
Oh, he's hard. He's the hardest.
Uncle Joe.
Well, then, Hitler's always the metaphor for everything that's evil always, and it still persists. But
why is that?
Uncle Joe might be more evil than... Yeah, why is that?
No, I don't know if you can put Uncle Joe.
I don't know more evil, but he certainly had as many people done.
Yeah, he did.
He had a lot of guys waxed. And like you say, nobody lost people like the Russians did in World War II. They lost a gajillion people.
It was 100 million, wasn't it?
Yeah. And when they came back across, when they finally beat the Germans out, at the front and were coming back across to win, I've seen documentaries where they were like, the Russians were like, They didn't want to see the Red Army come in. You didn't want to see them come through your own towns. You see, the Nazis didn't rape everyone and steal everything. The Nazis were disciplined, even in retreat. Like, they're like the Roman Legion, right? Everybody, eyes front, let's go. And the Red Army would come through and fucking... you had to hide your food and shit.
Pillage,
yeah, they just fucking stole everything everywhere they went on the way back through, But again, they felt like they'd been fighting harder than anyone else for 5 years, and
it does make you think,
street to street, house to house, and all that.
If you were on the battlefield that long in the snow, and if you actually came across a house with like a nice warm fire inside,
I'm taking your chicken
table,
and your daughter.
So I'm starving and I'm going mad. We're not excusing it, of course.
No, it's war. I mean, that's
speaking of Gorky Park, the great band. Let's go back to Rock and Roll Jeopardy.
Okay,
because the fact that you did not host Rock and Roll Jeopardy is really a travesty in the eyes of all of show business.
Well, it was someone with a name very close to mine.
Yeah.
From the same derivation. Probst and Proops are very close.
Well, what did he ever do after that? He
I don't
flamed
know.
out.
He seemed to have floated away.
Jesus Christ, Survivor.
I know. We're on 20 seasons now or something.
How great would it be to be the host of Survivor? Everyone's in there getting like mosquito bites in like their dick holes. And you're like, all right, let me put your torch out. I'm going back to the four.
I was going to say, I'm going to get
a four hands massage.
Yeah. I'm getting the hot stone tonight. Oh God! And the soup at this hotel to die, to die. It's a lemongrass with a little chicken. Oh my God!
Sorry, I'm late. I'm a little hungover.
Yeah. I've been drinking Chardonnay all fucking night.
Went big with Mandela last night. But how are you guys enjoying Africa?
Yeah,
it's like we're dying.
Yeah.
Would you ever do one of those shows?
I don't think so because I can't shit outside with other people around me.
That's the reason you would not want like $1 million.
I have
prize.
too many afflictions. I have drops and unguents and lotions. I have to. It takes me I'm like Jerry Lewis. I have to lay in the bath for an hour before I get up and take Percodan.
Suppositories.
I don't want anyone to see how blind I am. Also, I don't want anyone to see my real personality. You know how it is. Like, they get enough of that on the podcast and shit like that. You don't want to see me like when I'm in the worst fucking mood ever and I haven't eaten, which is the whole time you're on the island because you're never getting enough food.
So personality-wise, you don't think you could fit?
I don't know. I went to an interview once for that I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here in London. But I was pretty bloaty and sweaty on the day, and I think I scared the shit out of them. I don't think they were ready for that interview, so like they
went with Melissa Rivers.
Yeah, exactly. And Melissa did quite well on that fucking version, man. I saw her do that one.
She's cool as hell, by the way.
I like Melissa Rivers. I've always been friends with her.
You know what? She's a great mom. She lives up the street, and my grandfather used to say, you tell a lot about a guy by his children, and I'll apply that to Melissa. She got a great kid. I think I would do okay on Survivor.
He's got to be older now. What, 14 maybe, huh?
12. 13,
yeah.
Yeah, you were right. I could have just said yes.
No, I don't know. You're right. He's probably 12.
I think the thing with Survivor that makes me crazy is like you could play it completely right, and then just everyone behind your back just goes, let's get rid of Craig.
I'd lose the weight. I would do it because you'd lose the weight. You'd be tanned and you'd lose 15 pounds easily.
I think that when I see homeless guys,
right?
I'm like, wow, these guys are so fucking tan.
Yeah.
And I got to spend $1,500 on a tanning package at Dark with a QUE. Tanning salons and eyeglass shops love their puns.
If you stay outside all day every day, you can have that tan. Right?
Really? And I don't have to work. Hope you're enjoying Greg Proops. It's brought to you by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audiobooks with more than 150,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature and featuring audio versions of many, many New York Times bestsellers. For our listeners of More Stories, Audible is offering a free audiobook to give you a chance to try out their service. Just try it. You can download your choices and access them on your PC, burn them onto CDs, upload them to iPads or other MP3 devices. It's quick, easy, fun, affordable entertainment, and it's free for people of all ages. If you're a 5-year-old listening to this, when you get that new Curious George book you had your eye on, there you go. One audiobook to consider is, well, Curious George Makes a Pizza. That's the one I'd get for my kid because Tony, the pizza maker, says, I forgot all about it. And we yell it at bedtime and we all laugh. And I'm not even kidding. For a free audiobook of your choice, go to audiblepodcast.com/JAY. Audiblepodcast.com/J.
Would you do one of those shows? I don't know. They seem to have been, they're not quite as, they were trying to put one together, I remember 4 or 5 years ago, where we were going to, and this was the premise. driving cars across the country as teams of comedians, and then funny things were going to happen somehow.
Like Cannonball Run with comics?
Ish. And I remember Harlan Williams. Harlan Williams was really into it, and phoned me and was like, "I'll see you on the road, buddy." And I thought, it wouldn't be that bad to be in a car with Harlan. It'd be weird, right? But like after a couple weeks, you just give over and just be like, "Okay, fucking, let's stop here and get a Dr. Pepper or whatever."
Nut.
You know?
We're gonna pull over and get alien jerky,
right.
and then we'll watch
Harlan.
Curly Sue on DVD.
For weeks.
You would have to surrender to the Harlan.
I would have had, because I thought, well, if I'm in a car with him, but I remember they'd asked Paul Tompkins, because I remember I saw Paul at a comedy club in like Atlanta or somewhere, and I went, "Paul, did they hit you with this premise for this show? We're going to be in cars and drive across the country." And Paul, hilarious, because Paul looks at me from over the mustache and goes, "To what end?"
I think you and I would have done good.
You and I would be, but we would be laughing the whole fucking time and telling stories.
That's
and
good
shit.
TV.
Yeah, right, but that's the point.
And then the club date money goes up.
Maybe it wasn't a bad idea for a show. Everyone on my team hated it. I remember that. Everyone like works with me, near me, was like, "Oh, why would you do that?" And I kept thinking, this isn't really that bad. I mean, you know.
I think you specifically, with your lotions and your potions, like you need to get to checkpoint B faster than everybody, because you need to put the Visine in.
Oh yeah,
you got to use your La Mer cream.
Exactly.
Your Dollar Shave Club razors.
Yeah, my Dollar Shave Club razors, so I can trim clothes.
You got to do all those things. So we're not going to stop. We're going to pee in like water bottles on the way. We're not wasting time. We're not pulling over.
No, I got to get to
leaks.
Bloomingdale's. I'm out of fucking Hermes and shit.
Yeah, so let's get there early.
I have no collar stays left. This trip has been terrible. Look what I'm wearing. Everything's wrinkled.
Do you have any more concealer? Right. I'm going to step on it.
Right.
We're out of concealer.
Yeah. What?
I have serum, but I have no cream.
Yeah.
But then there are comics. Like I think Harlan would be like, "Have you ever seen the world's biggest tree?"
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's what I was going to say. You definitely end up at an acorn farm or something and be there for like a year.
It's a corn maze. We're going to have a good time in the corn maze.
Yeah. And then he'd be hiding behind a thing.
I'm in a corn maze.
Yeah.
I think you and I would have been well paired. Rob Riggle's a guy you'd want on that.
Oh, yeah?
Lieutenant Colonel.
Oh, yeah.
Rob Riggle, USMC. He probably knows
because he could survive and shit.
Yeah, but he also probably knows some crazy fucking back road through a Navy yard that only he has access to.
Right.
Like just drives through the Navy yard in Seal Beach instead of going down the PCH.
Right. There's like green canisters everywhere oozing luminous liquids of various lethal...
Don't look canisters in the eye, JJ.
Yeah.
So... I always wanted to do I wanted to do that show. I didn't know anybody else had it in the hopper, so I guess I won't pitch it.
4 or 5 years ago, I remember, because but it never, it got to the meeting stage. I don't know if we ever had a meeting. I remember somebody talked to me about it, and then there was a thing, and it never fucking happened, and it wasn't the worst premise ever. But Rock and Roll Jeopardy, the audition was a good one.
Won 4 times by Mark McGrath, I believe.
Mark McGrath
of Sugar Ray
was
a veteran of this podcast,
the greatest savant ever on that show.
Yeah,
I won it, and I beat Graham Nash. I think I might have told that on my. If I told it on my show, I won't tell it again. But
you mentioned him, but I don't recall.
Graham Nash was on the show, and of course I was like,
"Oh, you were a contestant."
Later, years after not being the host, I got on, and it was me and Kari Ver. Remember Kari Ver?
Yeah. You know what I heard about Kari Ver?
She was on Singled Out. No, Remote Control.
Singled Out.
Singled Out?
And then she was on the Sci-Fi Channel with Jerry O'Connell.
No, tell me what you know about her.
Kleptomaniac.
Really?
Yeah, it's just weird shit from the set. Would just go home with Kari.
Awesome.
And everybody was just like...
She dated a lot of rock star types.
Has anybody seen the Dolly Grips cart?
No, it's gone.
Yeah.
Why did someone want tape and clamps?
Why is that Mini Cooper shooting sparks out the back? What's so heavy?
Yeah.
Somebody took the Halo game.
She answered one question, I think. She looked fantastic, I think I made a boner joke like, I'm glad this, dais is in front of me or whatever the fuck. I think I did one of those classic rock jokes. And
otherwise, you guys see my boner.
But, yeah. Boy, because Car's giving me a chubber. And I beat Graham Nash at the end. And he was fucked off and then was really gracious about it. Like, you could, on the moment, I could tell because he fucking threw his buzzer down.
What was the question?
I can't remember the last one. I only remember the one I got wrong, which was...
Give it to me.
This Ozzy Osbourne album is named after a short story by Gogol.
Mr. Crowley.
Diary of a Madman.
Oh, that was the easy one. I sound like Colin Quinn.
I fumbled it. And I said, right, Mr. Crowley, I said Lower Depths, which is retarded. Why would he do an album called Lower Depths? He would only do one called I'm a Werewolf or whatever, or The Moon.
Ozzy doesn't have an album called Lower Depths.
No, of course he doesn't. That's how bad I chewed that one. That's what I remember.
You made up an Ozzy album?
Yes.
That's fantastic. Abacab.
And the guy went, Proops goes, Diary of a Madman. And I'm like, only that one, right? I'm like, of course. But it was the Gogol thing that threw me. I was like, Gogol, this is what, and then of course, yeah. But I don't remember what I won on. I really don't. But I do remember this. Before me was the Bare Naked Ladies playing Nile Rodgers. And they smoked him. The Bare Naked Ladies held control of that board every second of the game. And Nile Rodgers knows everything about music, right? And is a fucking, genius producer. Produced Madonna, David Bowie, Duran Duran. There's nothing Nile Rodgers didn't do. Wrote 1,000 hit songs. Wrote I'm Coming Out by Diana Ross.
I'm coming.
Yeah, he wrote that and said to her, you have a gay following. You need to do this fucking song. And she's like, I don't want to do it. It's too gay. And he goes, I was at a club in New York. Might have been Studio 54. He was a habitué of Studio 54 where he lived in the ladies' restroom, apparently, where he did all his coke. And he said he saw 5 Diana Rosses, all men, right, waiting in the ladies' room. And he went to her, you got to do this fucking song. Because she was like, like Donna Summer, I'm reluctant about the gay thing. And he's like, no, understand. I was at a club last night and there's squadrons of black guys dressed as you.
Red
in 1970,
The original Red Tail.
Yeah. So
squadron of
there's
Diana Ross
I always love that one
impersonators.
because I saw 5 guys dressed like her and I fucking went, you got to do it. And then it came out and she was mad. And then it went right to number 1. And then she called him again. I was like, oh, you're a genius. And
we could have beaten Stalin if we said a squadron of Diana Ross.
We could
Donna
have.
Summer impersonators.
What is Marlon Brando saying in the movie? The war would be, if I had 10 divisions of that kind of men, our troubles here would be over very soon, I assure you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How did Graham Nash, was he mad?
He was angry that he lost, but then he was really nice after. And backstage we were riffing because he's English and has a sense of humor. And I said, you're treating me this way just because I got a couple of your albums? And he goes, only a couple? And then Carver's phone went off and it was in her purse. And he answered it and went, hi, I'm Graham Nash. And fucking she was in the bathroom or something. And he just got up from the chair in the green room. And he brought his real estate agent and his ex-wife with him, which made me more happy than anything that could have ever. Agent. Yes. It was great.
He's got a book coming out.
And I think I told that in the show. He goes, I saw Bill Haley in the comments when I was a teenager at the Sheffield Town Hall. And I go, bullshit, man. He goes, swear to God. Reaches in his wallet and pulls out a laminated ticket from 1958. When he was 15 or 16. And it's Bill Haley and his rock and roll band. And it has the date on it and everything. And he goes, I had it laminated, man. This is a seminal moment of my life. I wanted to be a rock star for that. And I was like,
well, that's your wheelhouse. You talk so much about, going to see the Cars
right.
and Blondie and stuff. So much your first concerts. And you...
Wouldn't you remember if you were in a band and you were...
No, I mean, you specifically,
anyway.
Greg Proops. When I listen to your podcast, the reverence that you have for the music and, even bands that now, they kind of fucking suck.
Yeah.
But, you give them their due at the time. I mean...
The Cars were hilarious because they only had 10 songs, so they played the whole album, and then they played Just What I Needed again. That was their encore, and it was great. And everybody went, yay! Oh, they played their whole first album. I think they had one other song, and then they went, here we go. I don't mind you coming home. They fucking did it again.
And what's not to like? I would. If I go see the Cars, you better play that twice.
Yeah. And that was their first record. I think, have I told you this one?
Wasting all my time.
I went to see Blondie and the Ramones in 1978 at Santa Cruz Civic Center,
Let that sit for a second. That's kind of cool.
That was a great show.
Yeah, Blondie opening for the Ramones.
No, I think the Ramones opened for Blondie.
Then I'm guessing Blondie probably couldn't follow the Ramones.
No, well, the Ramones were so buzzsaw, man. Because they would play 35 songs, in 40 minutes, they really played fast. Yeah. They just fucking flew through it. And they're really good. And then my cousin Donnie and I drove down from San Carlos, where I lived, on the 17, which was the
San Carlos Dons.
Yeah,
Maddie.
San Carlos Dons. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Dons. The Spanish landowners. And I remember we got high and we went, we loved it. It's cut to maybe 3 years ago. I'm with Ryan Stiles, and we're doing the Who's Line show, and we played the Santa Cruz Civic Auditorium. I walk in the place, and I went, it's so much smaller than I remember. All I remember that was this giant hall. And I says to the lady stage manager, standing there with her headphones on, she's about my age. I go, I was here in 1978, and I saw the Ramones and Blondie, and she went, that was a good show.
Those stage managers.
Like, you're still here?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Yes.
And now, and then she's going to
78.
See you. Yeah. That's a good union gig.
Yeah.
You played theaters. You know what a hassle it is. $600 per stagehand.
Oh, yeah.
In New York.
God, do they stick you for that stuff?
In New York, they do. When I played the Beacon Theater, I think it was $600 per, and it had to be like a minimum of.
And how many hands? 6?
No, it was a lot. It was
12?
If it was 6, I would have been like, $1,200.
Right.
Who gives a shit? But it was enough where I was like, what?
What is this guy doing?
Yeah, and it's
other than drinking?
There's no curtain to raise.
No.
There's no lights. It's
one spotlight, maybe?
Yeah, and that's what I tried to explain to them.
2 follows?
And then a friend of mine was a Teamster, and he goes, JJ, it's a union job. That's it. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
Yeah.
So, Rock and Roll fucking Jeopardy, you were going to be the guest host. Your audition.
Yeah, I auditioned.
Merv Griffin production, I believe?
Yes. Merv was there.
Now, do people know that he was gay? Is it just you and I?
I'm not supposed to say it, apparently. People apparently don't know, and his family's fiercely protective of his memory, but evidently it's sort of something that everyone knows, but is not something that everyone says, I guess. So I don't know. I thought everyone knew, but...
I always thought everybody knew.
But evidently I think they'll fuck with you if you say so.
Well, I'm not saying he's gay. I'm just saying
I'm not either.
A straight guy, as you...
he was nice as could be, man.
As you may have said somewhere, not in public.
No.
Not a lot of straight guys have Ava Gabor on as lead guest promoting nothing.
And carry a little dog with them. He was as lovely as can be, and I did 3 or 4 things for him. And none of them ever went. And I remember we did one, and it was some game show. And we used to meet over at the hotel, right? Over on the Beverly Hilton, you know, the one on the corner of Wilshire. And
yes, sir.
That he owned,
Mateo
I think,
Drive,
at the
right
time,
there.
right? And so there was pictures of his show everywhere. Like, as you walk through, there'd be pictures of him with, like, Liza and, you know, Ava and everybody.
Totally straight.
Yeah, fantastic. And we got up to do this run through, and you know how when you do game show run through, there's the guy with the bell, and you really act it out, and you have the contestants come up, and you do the thing and the thing. You kind of do as much as close to a run through as you can. We maybe did 5 minutes, and Merv jumped up and went, "Okay, you see how it goes."
That's cool.
It was really cool. And everybody, there were all syndicators in the room. They all nodded.
And then he dressed up as Donna Summer.
I'm coming up.
And then
I want the world.
And then he went into the bathroom with Nile
so
Rodgers.
Nice.
And did
I would love him. And Georgette was his assistant. And she was the one who was really in my corner. That's why I think I did 3 or 4 pilots for him of different, you know, relationship shows. The dude was a genius of TV and was always selling something. Nothing that I was ever on, but he tried to sell things. And Rock and Roll Jeopardy was his too. Yeah, I really did say to them, I have a joint in the ashtray of my Volvo, and you are forming a blockade in front of it right now. Because they said, tell us about what your day is like. And I go, okay. I've done the audition.
The audition happens.
After the audition, you got to chat with them. They wanted to see how
Great.
You know how they do the personality thing in Miss America?
Yeah.
Now we want to talk to you and see what you're like. So I went, okay. And they're like, well, why should we give you the show? And I went, well, first of all, you're forming a joint blockade because I have a J in the ashtray of my Volvo that you're keeping me from right now.
That was your if it was me, for example, I would, because I'm just a whore for the corporate teat. Yeah. I'll suck and suckable, and I'll just keep going, and I'll move on to the next cow when I'm done. And because that's what happens when you have kids.
Yeah,
you go, sure, whatever it takes. And that's not a reflection on the sponsors and anybody having to do with the podcast, as I've illustrated. I'll show you the razors when we go upstairs. But I for example, just so the listener, little showbiz insight, and this plays into you going against the corporate.
I could have been nicer, I suppose.
I
thought it was funny.
The last line.
Also, it was Rock and Roll Jeopardy, and
Mr.
I thought
Saturday Night. You could have been a little nicer,
right? If there was one if there was one show, I thought I could get away with it. It was that one.
So, I would have said, well, I spend my days. They go, tell us a little about yourself. For me, for example, I would have said, well, I'm an audiophile. I spend my days listening to music. I love rock and roll. I love Jeopardy, and I've loved all Merv Griffin productions my whole life. So just being here, I'm kind of freaking out. I would just totally suck everyone.
Got the job.
I would have sucked everyone off.
Yeah, and they'd have loved you.
And then you instead
said, "You're forming a joint blockade. I got to get out there." And they all laughed, and then that was the end of that. And Georgette called me and went, "You were fantastic. We're not giving it to you."
Did you say why?
No, she didn't have to say why. Jeff's a great host, but he's a lot smoother. I was going to be a little more, rock and roll or whatever.
You're the Elvis Costello of comedy.
Yeah, I thought I'd bring a little more of the fucking, isn't this supposed to be about the fun of it? And
yeah.
So Nile Rodgers lost to the Bare Naked Ladies, and he came into the green room, and I didn't get to meet him because he was kicking shit over at that point. He was so mad that they smoked him. And I mean, he didn't get, he probably had a couple hundred points, and they had 3,000 each or whatever. And then on final, they just, snorfed him. And, they're just these Canadian guys with the fucking flannel shirts, and they had their glasses and shit. And they're like, "Gee, Mr. Roger, that was really great. We're big fans." And he was like,
they're like, "Who is Steve Lillywhite?"
Yeah, he's vibrating with fucking.
Who is Robert Cray?
Then I met Nile Rodgers 2 years ago in Edinburgh, and I never mentioned the fucking Rock and Roll Jeopardy episode to him, but
oh, you did not. But if you ran into,
but I read his book, and his book is fantastic.
Really? I didn't know he had a book.
He wrote a book a couple of years when that's what he's plugging in Edinburgh that year, and it was. He talks about Madonna when he made Like a Virgin. He put that album together for her. And she comes up to him about halfway through and goes, "How come you haven't tried to fuck me?" And he goes, "We're working together." And she's like, "But everyone else tried to fuck me. What's your problem?" And he's like, "Look, no, which I love that part in the book. And he's like, he wasn't shocked, but he was like, "Really?"
Wow.
Yeah. And then he never made another record with her. She's had a different giant producer for every album, but that was the album that fucking launched. I mean, she was big before that, but Like a Virgin was when she took off to the stratosphere.
Last time you were on the podcast, I believe it was a year ago, and you and I agreed we're both either the straightest gay guys
or the gayest
straight guys, because we know far too much about musical theater, Madonna. Cause right when you said that, I'm thinking of yeah, Papa Don't Preach, and then Ray of Light was really good.
Yeah, Ray of Light was the Dust Brothers or the Chemical Brothers?
Was exceptional.
Chemical Brothers, maybe?
I don't know who produced
producer in for that one, man.
But Ray of Light was insane. I used to jog around the Hollywood Reservoir. Ray of Light, and it makes me feel like I'm got time. It was great. And then you get to the song Candy Perfume. Yeah. Boy, I'm like, all right, this is a little gay. But I'm still running.
When I was on a kids show on Nickelodeon, there's a guy named Ronnie Butler who's a lovely guy and a great actor, and he played the receptionist on the show. And we were bored one day, when there's nothing not required, and he had brought a DVD of every Madonna video, it was a 2 DVD set, and we sat upstairs and watched it for fucking hours, and we're like, "Oh my god, look at the sets," and
I'm keeping.
Oh yeah, it was
Danny Aiello.
Yeah, because then there was a. Don't go for second best, baby. Where she has the bra, the Gautier bra, and the suit and everything.
Do you have a favorite? Oh, Rick Ocasek of the Cars, by the way. He may only be able to go through his one album, but we got to put a pin in that because the guy circled back around, tapped out of the Cars, and went on to produce Bad Brains. Yeah. You wouldn't think Rick Ocasek, who looks
the
like...
only black punk group, right?
Fishbone.
Fishbone.
Yeah, there's a few, but yeah, they certainly are the trendsetters. But Rick Ocasek, who could be Lux Interior in certain light from the Cramps, right? Have you seen him in person? You saw him in person, but you ever seen Rick Ocasek up close?
No, but he's really gangly, right?
He's ghastly.
Yeah.
Married to a supermodel.
Right, Paulina, who's
and then
delightful.
somehow got HR to get his fucking bipolar and banananess together, which is well documented. I'm not speaking out of school here. What are you kicking about in the bipolar?
Yeah.
That's not right. Bipolar.
Bipolar, why you talk like that?
We're one polar people.
It's this one big pole. There's no more North Pole. It's the South Pole now.
South Pole only. You are you surprised whenever you go? Has there ever been a city that you got to? I'm still confounded in the best possible way, with all respect and reverence, that you go to these faraway lands and you fill these rooms. And is it just from Whose Line? But there's
I think so, and the podcast. The podcast gets downloads all over the world. That's the best part of doing it. And so I thought immediately, I'll do it live everywhere, and then I'll try to just add more places. So next year I'm thinking about Berlin, Tallinn, Estonia, Bergen, Norway, which a lot of guys do. And
I thought you were going to say Bergen County, New Jersey. I got all excited. Right? I'm like, I'll invite my folks.
Yeah, I want to do Underhill. Underwood, what's the city in New Jersey?
Ridgewood?
Ridgewood?
Bunch of woods.
Cherry Hill?
Cherry Hill.
I got it wrong on 3 tries.
That's why you lost Rock and Roll Jeopardy.
Yeah, we're trying
and New Jersey Town Jeopardy.
We're trying to sort out more dates for next year. And Amsterdam again. I saw Margaret Cho's playing all over Europe in December, but it's too late to do anything. I think I'm going to end up playing. I'm in London in December, and then I'm going to go probably do Dublin and Cork while I'm there. Just nip over.
I'd love to play London. Oh, you got something coming up in town. Halloween Eve.
Yes, October 30th, I'll be showing Eyes Without a Face at the Cine Family. The Greg Proops Film Club is part of the Smartest Man in the World podcast. I didn't start a separate one. I probably should have. But every once in a while, I throw one of these in. And, of course, half the people write me and go like, I hate this. Why are you showing a movie? And then half the people write and go, oh, I love that one. Where's the With Nail and I one or whatever? We've showed some goodies.
Where is it? Plug this one first.
Okay, first, Cine Family, October 30th. It's on Fairfax Avenue in Hollywood. 7:30, we're going to show Eyes Without a Face. It's a 1959 French horror movie by Georges Franju, who's kind of an arty director. It's supposed to be very poetic, as well as unbelievably grisly. Mad doctor gets in a car accident with his daughters. Her face is disfigured, so he sends someone out every night in Paris to find pretty girls so he can graft their face onto his daughter's face. And that's why she's Eyes Without a Face. She wears a mask through the whole movie like
Does he pick one or does he walk around with like 15 different models'
Who's
faces?
the Michael
It's William
Myers
Shatner
character.
mask. That's Halloween.
Yeah.
But he used different models. He sought out many different models.
Yeah, so that's what the plot of this movie is.
Does he pick one model?
I don't know. I'm going to watch it before. My wife picked the movie out. She picks a lot of them out. The last one we played was Sexy Beast. I picked that one. Oh, no, she might have picked that too. But
don't you think they should make it again with Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols as Ray Winston?
Oh, my God.
Steve Jones was here, and the whole time he sat where you're sitting, I'm like...
Yeah, he's like that, isn't he?
Yeah, and he types in Cockney. Like
right.
when he texts you, he
hello.
goes, thanks, F-A-N-K-S.
Yeah,
thanks. Where you get your mustaches from, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
But like the whole
Thanks,
time
mate.
Steve Jones sat here, the guy's like a fucking rock star.
Right.
Like a hotter Julian Schnapp.
Right.
We're so
right.
gay.
He's giant and he wears the glasses and everything.
Yeah, and he's like he doesn't give a shit about it. And then he crosses his arms and you see all his tats and you go, he was in the Sex Pistols. What is he doing here?
Yeah.
And he's just having a good time. He's just fucking off.
And he can play still. He's a good player.
He can play.
Yeah,
and he
play.
couldn't play when he was in the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
And
now
then
he can play.
The band leader for Russell Brand, he can play his balls off.
Right.
So your wife picked Eyes Without a Face.
She did, and she picked, we showed Annie Hall and Pelham 123. And
which one?
Another 7.
The one with
the first
Denzel.
one. The first
my
one.
man.
Yeah, no, the first one. Yeah. we picked the Gesundheit. That one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So since you mentioned your wife, I must say, good job picking the movie.
Oh yeah, no, her taste is good.
She requested Harvey Keitel.
Oh yeah, no, I have to record this though.
We were
on a 70s
like
bag for a long time. The ones I picked were like Lifeboat. By Hitchcock and shit like that.
The listeners should know your wife. You told me off mic that your wife requested.
Yes,
Harvey Keitel.
Yes, please. Can I have some Harvey Keitel?
Name?
Jennifer.
Look, Jennifer, you did a good job. If it was up to Greg, it would be Hitchcock every damn day. There's no jobs in this town, are there? People need eyes without a face. You did a good thing. Say the goddamn words. I did a good thing. You're not going to die from your wounds. You're going to wish you were dead. You have no eyes in your face. But your father will make it right. Eyes without a face at the Cineplex. What the fuck was Greg thinking? To choose that goddamn movie. She did the right thing. Good for her. She's a good kid. That's the Harvey Keitel report. That was by request.
Thank you very much. She's going to love it.
DraftKings, my friends. I play fantasy football, Greg, do you?
I don't.
You're a baseball guy.
I am. But if I did pick fantasy, are these the week-by-week ones?
Yes. They're the best. You can win. I've won money that I will not disclose on this podcast. Otherwise, people will get angry at me. Warriors won serious money this past weekend at DraftKings.com. This is America's favorite one-week fantasy football league. You got to check them out. I'm in 3 fantasy leagues that I'm stuck in, and my team sucks, and I'm middling around in I'm in 1 fantasy football league. That's not as good as DraftKings. And I just beat Robert Wall, Kevin Connolly, and Governor Chris Christie back to back. How weird is that?
I love that you're all in the same league.
How am I the least famous guy in my own fantasy league?
That's fantastic.
Governor
Christie.
He's like, all right, let me lose. I'll pass gay marriage, but I'll lose at fantasy football.
Right.
Like, that week bothered him.
Yeah.
Like a huge victory societally for the state of New Jersey.
So is he a sentimental better? Does he always go with the New York teams? Or
he goes Jersey. He took Ray Rice with his first pick because he went to Rutgers, New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Yeah.
New Brunswick, New Jersey. New Jersey Jeopardy we're playing. But DraftKings is great because you win dough. DraftKings.com. This is the favorite one. There's a bunch of others, but this is the one you want to get in. You got to check it out. DraftKings takes watching football. It's like, I don't know if you've ever, of course you have, when you just have the blackjack table to yourself and your friends, and you guys you act, like if you walk around Vegas at a 7, when you have that table to yourselves, everyone goes up, this one goes to 11.
Yeah.
You go banana. I'm watching football because I'm going to win money. It's crazy. DraftKings.com. 1 week. Fantasy football, no season-long commitment, no being stuck with the same players. Like that asshole Rob Gronkowski who's out with a fucking hurt forearm. There's guys that Peyton Manning had bolts put in his neck and came back as Frankenstein's monster.
Right.
If you and I had Peyton Manning surgery, they wouldn't let us go on rides at the carnival. This guy's playing football at the NFL level.
Right.
Well, I'm stuck with bad guys on my teams, but not at DraftKings because every week you just switch them out. Instant cash, instant gratification. That's what we like. Instant gratification. True story. One guy won $100,000 his first time he played.
Are you joking?
No, 100,000. This guy goes, I'll give it a try. He listened to the podcast, More Stories, and he tries DraftKings. Won $100,000.
How much do you have to invest to get $100,000?
Well, here's the thing. Right now, Warriors get up to $600 free. Use the promo code J. That's my name, Jay. And for every dollar you deposit, DraftKings is going to match your first $600. That's $600 totally free. This is just an incredible deal and a fun thing. This amazing offer will expire this Friday. Enter JAY today at DraftKings.com. DraftKings.com. And if you like it, use it, because if enough of you guys use it and enter my name Jay, they will continue to sponsor the podcast, and maybe
How many guys do you get on a fantasy football team? Because I've done fantasy baseball teams, but I don't think I've ever done I bet on football. But
it depends on the league, but usually a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and then like 1 tight end, Merv Griffin, and then you get a defense and a special teams.
So
but some leagues
you don't get 44 guys or whatever.
No, you get a team. Like you get one
team.
Offense and one defense.
Right.
So
if anybody gets hurt, there's no.
You have to wait. That's the thing. Is if anybody gets hurt, you don't know when they're coming back. So you have to wait. Like, he's questionable for week 9.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'll put him on my bench. But like with DraftKings, you go, well, fuck all. I'm just new team.
Right.
Start over.
Yeah.
I'm going to draft Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to take this guy, that guy. I'm going to take Kaepernick and Frank Gore, repping the Bay Area from my man Greg Proops.
Frank Gore.
Are you going to show Valley of the Dolls at any of your screenings?
People have been asking for it, and I've talked about it. And I'm also thinking about Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which is an even wilder.
Is that written by Roger Ebert?
Yeah, that's the Roger Ebert one. And that one has
and then he went on to
every transgression in it that you can have in a movie, really.
Then he went on to critique movies.
After writing what can be only considered a camp classic.
Yes.
It's both of them are good. Beyond the Valley has lines like, hey, what's been going on, man? Hey, I won heavyweight champion of the world. Yeah, that's right. Congratulations, man. Like shit like that in the middle of it.
Oh, yeah.
Could the bartender be Martin Bormann? Do the screams of millions of innocents ring in his ears? Like, what's happening?
The Valley of the Dolls, my wife will stomp on my head if we don't talk about Valley of the Dolls.
Yes,
if
please.
you have not seen Valley of the Dolls, it is one of the most amazing.
It's fantastic.
And I do a whole thing in my act, so I don't want you to think I'm bouncing bits off you. I have no irony in me whatsoever. And my wife and I figured it out. The key to a happy marriage isn't similarities. It's similar hates.
Yeah.
What you hate together. And we both hate irony.
Yeah.
Like when you see a guy walking around with a Neil Diamond t-shirt
Right.
and he thinks it's funny because they, or like a Journey shirt, like because they suck. It's like, no, fucking Journey's awesome, you asshole. There's a fucking Filipino guy running around making believe he's Steve Perry and they're still they suck. You suck, you fucking jerk. Or like, look at his shirt I just brought back from Japan. They got the words all fucked up. Well, I've never been to Japan. You're an asshole.
Yeah.
I wish I had that shirt. But the thing with Valley of the Dolls, I have no irony in my body.
Yeah.
And you on your podcast, Smartest Man in the World, there's an app for it. It's my I have Corolla, I have you, and I have me on my phone. That's it. And I only listen to myself to see how often I interrupt people and annoy them. And I've gotten better. But with you, it's like rapid fire. The synapses are firing so hard. And when people go like, let me run this by you. when people go like, it's so bad, it's good.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's fucking good.
No, it's good.
We watched Showgirls 50 times because look, I was in Pluto Nash. It's a pile of shit.
Yeah.
I sat halfway through it, left, and I've never seen it since because it was fucking garbage.
Yeah.
That's not so bad. It's good. But like, if Showgirls is on tonight when I go upstairs, I'm staying up.
Yeah, you're going to watch it.
I like it. I want to watch Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah.
You're a good fuck, baby. You're selling yourself short. You know what I mean?
We do what we do in Vegas. We gamble.
Yeah. So I don't believe any of that.
Someone offers someone a knuckle sandwich in the movie.
Yeah.
One of the dancers actually threatened someone with a knuckle sandwich.
How'd you like a knuckle sandwich?
Yep. Which I don't think was ever even in any movie. I think it's such a great thing to do.
It was in like Three Stooges.
Yeah,
nothing in color.
No. And then Brian Posehn pointed out to me once that I believe Gina Gershon says darling twice in one sentence in one movie. He goes like, hey, darling, it's the thing, best cocaine in the world, darling. Like there's too many darlings in a sentence. Like you're overusing darling. And you know it was spelled darling with an apostrophe too.
Of course.
Every time.
Of course. Like Lil with Lil apostrophe.
Yeah, Lil.
Oh, but isn't Lil Elizabeth
Shut up. SHADDUP. Shut up.
Do you think things are so bad they're good, or are you in my camp? And you can please disagree with me. Do you think things are, if something you like, it's so bad it's good? No, it's good. Like Valley of the Dolls is great.
Valley of the Dolls is an amazing rendition of that book. I mean, it's everything it needs to be. The only thing missing is at the end, it's what's her name? The actress who. She died of cancer, but she's in loads of movies. God damn it, I'm forgetting her name. Not Rosalind Russell.
Carol Channing.
It's not Carol Channing. It's the woman at the end who they threw her wig in the toilet and everything, and she plays the critic. It was supposed to be Judy Garland, and something fucking happened, and it wasn't her. And that's the only thing that would have made it camper than it is, right? Patty Duke is great in everything.
Are you there? I'm a big star. It's me. It's Neely O'Hara. I need dolls to sparkle.
Sparkle, Neely, sparkle.
Yeah, they call pills dolls.
Yeah, dolls.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Which became immediately right into my lexicon.
Oh, yeah, dolls.
I've never called a pill since.
Oh, no, dolls. Got any dolls?
Yeah.
And you see them at, Jonathan Adler has like candy dishes and cookie jars, and they say dolls on them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just to drive the point home.
Dolls.
But I think it's a bad movie. But I don't think it's so bad it's good. Like, I watch it, I get
is Mommy Dearest so bad it's good, or is Mommy Dearest just legitimately entertaining?
No, I think
because she's fucking rocking the house.
Boy?
Yeah, it's just legitimately good, I think.
She's amazing in it.
I never understood the camp of Mommy Dearest. Like, when I would go see it, it would be filled with gays, and they're yelling at the screen and laughing their balls off. And I always thought it was like an actual good movie. And when I watched like Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, there's no camp in that.
But it's a guignol. That's a horror movie.
And and people will say like, not Betty Davis, the other one.
Joan Crawford.
They're like, she's so bad. I'm like, she's the best.
Amazing. Yeah. She's not a bad actor at all. She's a great actor. I'll defend Joan Crawford to the death. How did she find 100 movies where she was a strong? I mean, she's weak in Baby Jane, but usually she's never the victim. Usually it's all shoulder pads and fucking. She's got a dick basically in every movie. I remember watching TCM and they were showing Mildred Pierce, which they did the remake of with Kate Winslet a couple years ago, but. Alec Baldwin was hosting, and Alec Baldwin is so fucking heated up over the movie, right? Which I love, right? He's like, if we were hosting, it's just kind of sick, you know? And he goes, Robert, this is Joan Crawford's 50th movie. She's already been a star for 20 years. Her 50th movie, and this is the one we all consider the pivotal movie, you know? Like, and he losing his shit over that she'd been in so many fucking, and she's not young in it. She's probably 50, you know?
Is it true that in...
And I just saw that, and that's not so bad. It's good. It's actually really good.
I'm with you, 100%.
Mildred Pierce is amazing.
I don't have room for irony. There's too much... If it's bad, it's bad.
Well, there's Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, you know what I mean? There's Spice World, and those are just bad.
Those are bad, but at least Sgt. Pepper's, I get to watch Aerosmith do, Beatles.
I do like that scene.
I think horror movies, for me, the really, really bad ones are so bad they're good.
But that makes them good.
No,
like you're ending it with good, like Chucky. Like it's so stupid.
No, Chucky's good though. Chucky is legitimately good. But I'm talking about like
Michael Ebert.
Yeah,
those
Matty Ebert.
Those ones that just make absolutely no sense.
Right.
That are just they're great.
With good dialogue, like, where the fuck are you, gun?
But there was like, what's that movie now? The Room, is it? What's the one? The guy's written the book about it. He made it a couple years ago. It's like this terrible movie. It's really badly directed, poorly acted. Isn't it called The Room? What's it called?
I don't know.
It's like a famous cult movie from a few years ago. And now I see billboards for the guy who wrote a book about it and shit. And it's like, but that's actually bad. It's just bad.
Yeah.
But it's so astoundingly bad that people couldn't believe it got made, kind of thing.
Evil Dead.
Dead.
Like Bruce Campbell. I mean,
those are good, though.
It is good, but it's so goofy, and the acting is so absurd, and all the dialogue is so absurd.
Is it Jack and shit, and Jack just left town?
Yeah, it's so bad that it's good.
Bruce Campbell's so committed to those fucking parts.
Bruce Campbell's the best.
Yeah, he is. Amazing.
Valley of the Dolls is let's make no mistake. It's a poorly...
Oh, the pace
casted,
is lead. Yeah, the acting is wooden.
And you said in your podcast, like, it just reeks of barbiturates.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you played the Dionne Warwick theme song and stuff.
Yeah.
But, it created its own world.
Oh, yeah.
Which no movie is able to do. Unless you're going to make Brazil.
Right.
Or, like, Raging Bull. Those are, like, isolated. Or, like, the...
Well, Showgirls. Showgirls is a movie that there's nothing like it. It takes leave of all movie convention about 2 minutes in.
I just like hitchhiking on the 15. Like, it's totally normal.
Oh, no. Everybody goes out of Baker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the first scene where she's putting ketchup on her french fries and she's doing it furiously. And that's 2 seconds into the movie. And you're like, we're already in another movie that's not a movie that's like a movie.
She's very angry at the ketchup.
She's furious.
I think she's also like kind of jacking it off.
Oh, so much so. Joe Esterhazy brings that light touch. Subtle.
Why, if they were going to, my wife met the guy who wrote a book about Valley of the Dolls, and he wanted to make he wanted to continue from the end when the girl's dragging the stick along, because that's what happens when all your friends die and commit suicide. You go back to the countryside and you just touch leaves with a stick to a Dionne Warwick song. But the guy was like, the guy was totally freaked out. Like, I don't know where to go because it is so like that alone. It stands alone by itself.
It really is. It's like you say. And I would put Brazil and like you said in that category. There's a few movies that. They're not like a movie that's like a movie, a regular movie. Because you know what a regular movie is like. People get married and they cry and they die and the thing. Instead of everyone acting hyper weird the whole time.
Or like a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah. But the Coen Brothers have a style of doing that. And I don't know that the Valley of the Dolls, I don't even know who directed fucking Valley of the Dolls.
I don't either.
You know what I mean? Like he's not a famous cult director. So.
It's almost like an episode of Star Trek.
Yes.
If you were on Quaaludes.
It's
very
I was gonna
bright.
say if they'd all taken a lot of, because they're all like this at some point in the movie.
I'm doing my breast exercise.
Yeah.
We talked on the phone earlier today. Who is that? Sharon Tate?
Sharon Tate, yeah.
She's
who has the most enormous chest in the world.
Oh, naturally. And she's on the phone with her mom in the movie. And again, my wife, the film Nut and Buff, you guys really should be married. She pointed out to me that Sharon Tate leaves no room. You guys got to watch this movie and just check these things out that Greg and I are pinpointing. In Valley of the Dolls, Sharon Tate's on the phone with her mother for about 4 minutes, and she never leaves room for the person on the other line to talk. She goes, "Hello? Yes, this is she. Good to see you too. College is fine. Everything's going great. I am doing my breast exercises. Yes, mother." And she just it's like a soliloquy with no pauses.
Yeah.
And then she hangs up the phone and goes, "Oh, screw it. Let him droop."
Yeah, let him droop.
That was her big show her mother that was never really on the other line.
Yeah.
But no director goes or no script supervisor goes, I think
breathe.
Yeah, she should leave like a pause for the other person.
Like
to
you're
talk.
listening to the mother. No, it's like she's reading it off a TV dinner menu or something in front of her.
What's best worst movie? I mean, that's the best worst movie of all time.
In a lot of ways,
right?
I think it is. I mean, and it's wildly satisfying. Like I said, my favorite line: "That little whore makes me feel 10 feet tall." Like no one's ever said that in real life. Like in Showgirls, when she says, "Oh, you're Andrew Carver, the rock star. I like your music." He goes, "I like your ass. Call me." And you're like, wow, that's never happened. I've never seen it happen. It's not happened.
You said on your podcast when they get reunited, Elizabeth Berkley and Kyle MacLachlan. Yeah. I liked when you came.
Yeah, I liked when you came.
Like there's dialogue, Joe Esther, like just nobody ever says it. This is all Greg Proops. I'm paraphrasing what you've already said.
But it's true. There's Showgirls is nothing. A whole movie of lines no one's ever said. I miss you like I miss that something I've had cut off my twat or something. She says at one point.
Did you mean twat?
Doesn't she say that? Does she say twat? I miss you like I missed that tumor I had cut off my twat or something. Yeah. And that's supposed to be funny and like.
Well, I said that
because she's the comedian in the movie, the one with the tits that bounce.
Yeah, there's always a wacky friend.
Yeah.
It's like Kimmy Gibbler on Family, or it's the one with the big tits. Greg Proops, Smartest Man in the World podcast. And last time we were here, we spoke a lot about baseball.
Yeah.
And we went the other way this time.
Yeah, we did.
And you don't have guests on your podcast, and the listener needs to know. Look, this is what's great about a podcast. Anybody that comes to see you, when you tell them to go check something out, whether it's like a Gil Heron,
Gil Scott
Heron, when he died, you soliloquy, you gave him the best barbiturate. I'm still.
I know you were still on Dolls.
You gave him the best obituary live on stage, and then when it's Dolls to make me sparkle,
Jay.
And then when MCA died, I got to point this out. The point of the podcast is we really we're Jim Jones.
Yeah,
we're getting people to buy us part and parcel. So if I tell my listeners, if you get the Greatest Man in the World app on your phone and listen, and you can pick any episode, there's hundreds. It's the best. And that's what's great.
Kind.
No, but I'm making a very salient point that you will agree with. Everybody that goes to your podcast, when you tell them like, oh, you got to go see X, Y, or Z, or come see Eyes Without a Face, they go, well, I like what he likes. That's why I listen to the podcast. Right. Therefore, I'm going. So I'm telling these people listening to this podcast, I'll show you my phone right now. There's only 3 apps I have. I have Corolla because sometimes I'm on it. And then you and my own to see how many times I interrupt. Look who that handsome fellow is right there on my telly.
That's so sweet.
Thank you, for any more stories, podcast people out there, if you want to add something to your rotation.
The MCA one was a good one, but I felt strongly about that. I really felt like...
As a parting shot, and we'll tap out on this one, but let people know, because people go like, it's the Beastie Boys, a rapper died, whatever. And we all mourned it because we all love the Beastie Boys, Licensed to Ill. But what you said about him, please.
Well, that he was a Buddhist, and that I pointed out that other rap stars carried on singing about their cars and their guns and their gold and whatnot, and that he was absolutely the other way. They stopped being sexist after the second album, and they evolved as people, and that he became a film producer and film type, and they were doing a bunch of different projects. And if you ever saw their picture where they gave all their fans cameras, and that's the movie of their concert, they didn't have a big director shoot the movie of their concert. They gave like 35 fans cameras, and they cut together all the footage of that. I mean, I just felt like they do something that we're always trying to do as podcasters, which is connect to the crowd. And I think he did that more than anyone. And I think he had integrity and wasn't a sexist, drugged up dickhead, like who was like, yeah, check it out.
And you didn't put him in a rap category. You said he's got to go in rock. He is a rock star.
Of course.
Is present tense. Yeah. And you said, name one rock star that improved themselves as they went on.
Yeah.
You think
as a person.
You think Bret Michaels is going to sit with the fucking Dalai Lama?
Mm-mm. Or become a Buddhist or care about enlightenment or anything.
And try to save Tibet?
Yeah.
He's trying to paint his tour bus with skanks in it.
Yeah, right. He's got rock bus of love. What is it?
That's
rock
it.
Of love.
Or like remake this bus of love.
No, Adam Yauch is an interesting person. I mean, they're decidedly interesting people. But then what's his name? Adam Horowitz, the King Ad Rock. His father was the playwright Israel Horovitz, or is the playwright. So they come from a different atmosphere, but you can just tell by the references on their records and everything. I mean, no one else says I got mad hits like I was Rod Carew.
Yeah. And then Sada Ara O on Paul's Boutique.
Yeah, like Sada Hara.
My man, I got more suits than Jacoby got mine.
That is just... then JD's got Salingers.
I got more stories than JD's got Salinger. I think Paul's Boutique is the album in my life, because I had it on cassette when I was doing a lot of road gigs. That's the single most listened to album in my entire life.
Really?
And almost by default, because it's just on the road.
Yeah, of course, you just listen to it a lot.
And he just turns over, and it just keeps going. And it was before like the CD and the shuffle.
It's called Paul's Boutique, and it's in Brooklyn. Paul's Boutique, ask for Janice.
Ask for Janice to all the Brooklyn girls. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Pissing on the third rail. Doris the Finkosaurus. The Finkosaurus.
Amazing.
It's like they're from another era, too. That was what I always thought was so funny.
Looking down the barrel of a gun, son of a bitch, getting paid, getting rich.
Yeah. 5-piece chicken dinner. Is that one on there?
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
then I'm doing 120 driving over mailboxes.
Yeah.
Radar detector to tell me where the cops is.
That's when they really changed, wasn't it? That's the second album.
I wonder how much it cost them to sample everything. That's the most sampled album.
I was going to say that one really is like a museum piece. I remember when it came out.
They sampled Abbey Road.
Yeah, that we were talking about how they collated this fucking album. You know,
holy shit! Wow. Talk about full circle.
Yeah, they do. They do.
They sample Abbey Road.
Yeah.
And just the newscaster from New York. It's a trip. It's got a funky beat, and I can bug out to it. They sampled the whole thing.
Yeah.
It must have cost them a fortune. It was a big FU to Capitol.
Did they ever have to pay Jerry Lewis, you think, for the Hey Ladies riff? Because they never use his voice, I don't think, in it. But they totally are doing Jerry Lewis every 2 seconds.
If Jerry Lewis probably is still fighting to this day to get paid. If we know anything about Jerry Lewis.
October 27th is my date of birth. I went to the party, and I did the Smurf.
Yeah, that's all. Just old school. They kept it real. They kept it fun.
And it was always the same rhyme scheme. That's what I loved. A-B, A-B. Yeah.
A-B,
Yeah.
A-B.
None of that complex shit, man.
No, don't get
1986,
complicated. And it's just fun.
Yeah, always
They kept
fun.
the fun in hip-hop.
Yeah.
Greg Proops, Smartest Man in the World podcast. And, of course, you are putting